Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take your seats, please, we will begin shortly.
Good morning and welcome to Westminster College. I am Jim Morton. I'm chairman of the Westminster College Board of Trustees. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to our campus as we continue the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of Winston Churchill's historic address, the Sinews of Peace. We are honored that you have joined us for this opening session and grateful for your presence as we reflect on a moment that shaped the course of the modern world. 80 years ago, Churchill stood not far from here and spoke with clarity and courage about the challenges facing free nations and the enduring importance of liberty, cooperation, and strength. His words, delivered on this very campus, continue to resonate today, reminding us that the defense of freedom requires vigilance, partnership, and conviction. We are immensely proud that Westminster College remains the home of this legacy and of America's National Churchill Museum. We hope you will find inspiration in the history and commemorate and in the conversations we share together. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Westminster. It's now my pleasure to welcome Don Lofi, President and Chief Transformation Officer of Westminster College. Don?
Well, thank you, Jim. On behalf of Westminster College, I very much would like to add my own special welcome to all of you gathered here this morning and for our Fellows Weekend, and as Jim said, the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the speech of Winston Churchill. We're deeply grateful for the many friends, alumni, supporters, and partners who have joined us for this important occasion, and we are especially honored by the presence of our elected officials whose service helped sustain the democratic institutions that Churchill so passionately defended. Many members of the state legislature are with us this morning, including Representative Jim Schulte and Senator Travis Fitzwater, who serve this district. I'd also like to acknowledge and welcome Representative Travis Wilson, who chairs the Friends of the UK Caucus and has been a tremendous supporter and colleague of our work. I would be remiss if I also did not recognize Representative Lou of Riggs, an alumnus of Westminster College. British Consul Richard Hyde is also with us this morning. And again, it's great to have you back, Richard. Not in the script, but Richard and his colleague, we met each other about 14 months ago, and I think it was 15 below zero when you were heading to Kansas City. So a little bit better weather today. Again, it is a particular honor for us to welcome Governor Mike Kehoe. Thank you for being with us and for co-chairing with Randolph Churchill the honorary committee for this commemoration. Thank you, too, to your entire staff for their significant support for many, many months and the assistance throughout this past year as we planned and prepared for this event, again, well over a year. It's greatly appreciated. Events like this just not happen without the commitment of many people, including many members of our staff, faculty, and our students, and our longtime supporters of Westminster College and America's National Churchill Museum, who generously support and also ensure that Churchill's message and the principle it represents continue to be studied with shared, new, and future generations. Further to that point, we had in attendance yesterday afternoon over 400 local middle school students in the historic gym to see, hear, and talk with Randy Otto, who masterfully portrayed Sir Winston Churchill from the lectern that Churchill made his historic speech from. He received a standing ovation from the students after his presentation in answering many questions from the students. I think our next generation is in good hands. 80 years ago, Winston Churchill came to the historic campus to speak plainly about the responsibilities of free nations. It is fitting that we gather here today not to only remember those words, but to renew our commitment to the ideas behind them: liberty, cooperation, and peace, secured through strength. Further to this point, and again, for future generations, we look forward to those generations embracing these concepts. Thank you again for being with us today and helping carry this legacy forward. Now it's my distinct pleasure to ask Museum Director and Chief Curator Tim Riley to say a few words and introduce Governor Kehoe. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Don, and thank you all for being with us this morning here at Westminster College in this historic place on this historic anniversary. This particular place is particularly fitting. We are seated in the Church of St. Mary the Virgin, Aldermanbury. In the 1960s, 20 years after Churchill's famous speech here, Westminster College and the world recognized that the words spoken from the gymnasium on this campus continued to reverberate, inform, and inspire the world. Churchill was still alive, an elderly man at the time. And Churchill knew the importance of his speech spoken at Westminster College. The college administration thought, what are we going to do to acknowledge and memorialize that speech? As you might imagine, colleges do what we do. We formed a committee. The committee had a lot of great ideas. Let's put up a statue. Let's put up a plaque. Let's plant a garden and honor it in Churchill. Westminster College, Robert L. Davidson, had a different idea. Dr. Davidson said, why don't we bring from London a bombed church, ruined in World War II, left as a shell of a building, and rebuild it on our campus in mid-Missouri to honor Winston Churchill. That building, that church, this sanctuary is the result of that idea. A nation came together. President Kennedy was the first chairman. When he was killed, President Johnson came involved. Presidents Truman and Eisenhower came together to make this project happen. It was called at the time the Winston Churchill Memorial and Library in the United States. And this 17th century church, built by the British, bombed by the Germans, and rebuilt by Missourians, finds its way to our campus to honor the speech and words that Churchill gave here. Since that time, the museum and the college has welcomed so many guests to our campus. And we're very, very, very pleased to welcome and add one more distinguished guest to that ledger. That would be Missouri's Governor, Mike Kehoe. Mike, thank you so much for being with us. Your work to preserve Churchill's legacy and its place of importance in Missouri and the nation is significant. And we're very, very honored to have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Kehoe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is very embarrassing that you would stand for me, but I appreciate the gesture, and thank you for the warm introductions and the kind words. So we're very excited to be here. It's a beautiful place. It's not only incredible in history for the world and for the United States, but here for Missouri and quite frankly for Central Missouri, it's an incredible asset for us to have. So good morning to the distinguished alumnus, elected officials, honored guests. Again, I share my welcomes also. It's an honor for me to join you all today for the 80th anniversary of the commemoration of the Sinews of Peace address. President Lofe, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for what you've done for the school. As you know, it was here on the campus of Westminster College that Prime Minister Winston Churchill was welcomed on March 5th, 1946, just 80 years and 1 day ago yesterday. It was here that he delivered one of the most consequential speeches of the 20th century, a speech that changed the course of history. It was here that my personal experience in 2004 brought a family friend that was a World War II Marine veteran to then hear Vice President Dick Cheney talk about the importance of peace through strength. And that Marine veteran, to the day he died, remembered coming to see a piece of the wall and coming to this very place that really unlocked a lot of emotions he had from serving in World War II, and was a good family friend of ours. And I want you to know that that's one of the coolest things that he ever did in history, and it means a lot to our family that we were able to share that with him. So today we are proud to be joined by guests from across the state, the nation, and the world. I would like to recognize Duncan Sands, former Lord Mayor of Westminster and great-grandson of Sir Winston Churchill, and of course our friend and a friend to Missouri, General Counsel Hyde. We appreciate you making the trip here. We're grateful to have you, and good luck in the World Cup. Welcome back to Missouri, sir. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the America's National Churchill Museum here on the campus of Westminster College for honoring the significance of this address and the work that Churchill does this weekend and every day. Museum Director Tim Riley, who's been recognized, has an incredible passion for what happens in this museum and keeping the legacy alive, and we're grateful to have you, sir, as well as the Commemoration Honorary Committee for bringing the celebration to life. Finally, we've recognized some elected officials. I, too, would like to welcome my friends from the General Assembly, as well as, I think he's still in D.C., Congressman Bob Onder, who he's leading the effort to designate this as America's National Churchill Museum as a National Historic Landmark. His legislation is actually passed in the U.S. House, and it's on its way to the Senate. I know Senator Hawley is very excited about getting that across the finish line. As we know, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill delivered some iconic and historic words from right here in Fulton, Missouri, alongside the 33rd President of the United States and proud Missourian Harry S. Truman. When President Truman and Prime Minister Churchill chose Fulton, they affirmed something very powerful, that the enduring principles of liberty and freedom are not confined to capitals or stuffy boardrooms. They can come from anywhere, including right here in America's heartland. Westminster College is an institution that will forever be tied to that defining moment in modern history. This campus became much more than a school. It became a platform for global leadership. 80 years ago, in the aftermath of the most devastating war the world has ever seen, Churchill stood right here and spoke plainly about the challenges of a new and uncertain era. He warned of an Iron Curtain descending across Europe, but he also called for something far greater: unity among free nations, moral courage in the face of tyranny, and a steadfast commitment to peace through strength. Peace through strength is not just a saying. It's a strategy rooted in reality. In Churchill's time, it meant confronting totalitarianism expansion with resolve and reinforcing the alliances that would ultimately preserve freedom as we know it. In today's time, it means maintaining a strong national defense, securing our borders, and standing firmly with Democrat allies against aggression. It is that very strength that will ultimately deter conflict and help us continue to preserve and protect the values and freedom that we hold most dearly. If history has taught us anything, it's that bad actors and hostile regimes will arise. But their ability to maintain the power necessary to destabilize the world's harmony rests squarely on the shoulders of our great nation and our allies. And today's celebration is even more relevant. The stakes have never been higher. Humankind's own innovation and advancement have created an environment where the slightest missteps or a miscalculation can result in catastrophic loss. The lesson from 1946 is clear. Weakness invites instability and disruption, while strength preserves peace. Missouri's place in that legacy is something that we can all celebrate and, quite frankly, cherish. This great state produced President Truman, whose leadership in a post-war world cemented the direction of our country for years to come. And today, Missouri continues to stand for the values that our people hold dearly: faith, family, service, and freedom. This very church we are in today was destroyed in the Blitz, but not forgotten. The Church of St. Mary the Virgin Aldeburgh rebuilt, and today it stands here, not only as a symbol of friendship between nations, but as a testament to resilience, courage, and the lasting victory of hope and liberty over tyranny and fear. As we mark 80 years since that historic address, we are provided with a unique time to reflect on the opportunities that those who have come before us fought to preserve. We are blessed to live in the greatest nation in the world, but with that privilege comes the heavy responsibility of leaving our country better than we found it, so that our children and our children's children can live in a world filled with peace and freedom. That the enduring legacy of Churchill's message is what us Americans will remember. We inherited something worth protecting, and what an extraordinary privilege for all of us that is. This weekend, during the Churchill Fellows Weekend, I hope that you have the opportunity to take in the significance of this anniversary. I hope that you see the draft speech downstairs, which is incredible. Just yesterday, I saw the draft of the Bill of Rights in Kansas City from the Freedom plane that's traveling across our country to celebrate our 250th anniversary. And we looked at the draft of Churchill's speech that actually references, with his handwriting, the American Constitution. I appreciate how amazing it is, both for Westminster College and the state of Missouri. We are forever linked to an amazing man at such a profound moment. Thank you so much for inviting me here to celebrate with you today. May God bless the great state of Missouri, and may God continue to bless this great country we call the United States of America. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. We have a terrific weekend of events planned. If you don't have a program for some of the other talks and programs, the governor referenced a terrific new exhibition that opened yesterday of the original draft of the Iron Curtain speech, which is downstairs. Also a lovely exhibition by Fulton High School students. They have taken their own interpretation of the speech in art, and I encourage you all to see that downstairs as well. One final bit of business. Because we've enjoyed so much cooperation and support from the state of Missouri, we are very pleased to recognize those members of the General Assembly who are here today. I know that several of the folks in the House and the Missouri Senate have passed proclamations to declare and recognize this moment. And we're going to do a quick photo op with the proclamations from the Senate and the House with the governor and the representatives who sponsored them. So we're going to do that before we leave, and then we're going to adjourn to the rest of the day. So once again, quick photograph, please.
You want us in this?
We have with us Representative Jim Schulte, who represents this district, Representative Travis Wilson, who is the chair of the Friends of the UK Caucus, and Senator Travis Fitzwater. once again enjoy the day. Thank you for being with us.